Hello, I'm taking on a challenge to beat every playable Nintendo published game. Welcome to the next episode. The next game is Game & Watch Octopus. In the last episode, we took a look at Donkey Kong, an arcade game that made huge waves in the arcade world and put Nintendo on the map as one of the big video game creators of the 1980s. However, Nintendo's newfound success in the arcade world didn't mean Nintendo was done making handheld video games. Donkey Kong and today's Game & Watch game were actually released so close to one another that I doubt the performance of Donkey Kong would have made any difference either way. This game was the second game released in the widescreen series, released only a month after the last one. There's quite a few Smash Bros. References in this one. Game & Watch's up smash, Octopus Headbutt, sees the character donning the helmet worn by the divers in this game. Additionally, Mr. Game & Watch's final smash sees him turning into the massive octopus that the game is named after. Finally, one of the divers can be seen stealing items in the flat zone stage, entering the battle zone and risking life and limb to find treasure, a characteristic we'll see them display in this game as well. In this one, you play as 3 deep-sea divers who are desperate to obtain some sunken treasure. However, there is a massive octopus guarding this treasure. Seriously, this thing is huge. The octopus is constantly moving his tentacles around, searching for unsuspecting passerbys. Your mission is to get all the way to the treasure and grab some gold while avoiding the tentacles of the giant octopus. After grabbing some gold, you have to make it safely back to the ship to cash in on your treasure. One of the more interesting aspects of this one is that you gain points every time you grab gold, and you can stay under the water and keep going as long as you like. However, going back to the boat will earn you an extra 3 points, regardless of how much you grabbed underwater. You generally want to strike a balance between staying underwater and going back to your ship, since staying underwater is more dangerous, and you miss out on easy payouts if you never return to the ship. My general strategy was to grab as much gold as I could until his tentacles forced me to back off, in which case I would return to the ship and cash in on my points. You lose a life if you get grabbed by a tentacle. When this happens, the octopus pulls you in and we can only assume the worst. And Mr. Game & Watch just can't catch a break with these past few games. There isn't a loss counter in this one, but you can see how many lives you have left based on how many divers are left on the boat. Since this is a high score chaser, you will always eventually lose all 3 divers, meaning that there's no one left to even benefit from the riches gained. I think there's some sort of life lesson here about the dangers of succumbing to greed. You really have to be watching out for the tentacles in this one, because if you aren't careful, you can get trapped in an impossible situation where you get grabbed no matter what. You need to especially watch out for this while you are grabbing treasure, since there is only one direction to move from there, and you're toast if the tentacle to your left blocks the way out while the tentacle above you descends. As always, I started with Game Mode A. I had already played this one before in one of the Game & Watch Gallery games, so I already had developed some of the strategies I just mentioned. However, this didn't seem to help me too much, as I only got to 76 on my first try. As is the case with all Game & Watch widescreen games, my target is 200 points, so I wasn't even close. In my second run, I got so close. I lost at 188 points, only 12 away from my target. The game gets faster as you go, and it can be really tough to weave around the tentacles as things start to speed up. My next run went awful, and I lost a life after getting a single point. That might be a new record for me. I reset immediately because of this, and in my next run, I died in a really nasty situation where I got stuck with all the tentacles descending at once. I actually started to get a bit frustrated here even. Finally, on my next run, I managed to get to 200 points with no extra divers remaining. What a close call. As is the case with all the recent Game & Watch games, your life's reset here. I quickly lost them though, and ended with a score of 263. Whew, this was probably the hardest one yet. Hopefully Game Mode B won't be too much worse. I'm not too sure what was different in this mode, but it must have been harder since I lost all 3 of my divers after only 54 points. And in my next run, I only made it to 57. Uh-oh, this one could be a doozy. Well, as it turns out, something must have finally clicked after this run. After a heart-stopping close call with no extra divers remaining, I made it to 200 points, somehow clearing this mode in less attempts than Game Mode A. I kept going after this, but the run ended at 260 points and the game was complete. On to the review. While this one was probably the most tough Game & Watch yet, I liked that it was a little more different than the others. The concept of moving left to right to dodge threats from above is a bit similar to Helmet, but instead of just spamming you with objects like in Helmet, the tentacles in this one must fully retract before they can extend again. Additionally, the fact that there were 2 different ways to earn points also helped to spice things up. However, some of the situations you could get stuck in did feel a bit too brutal, and, like all the other Game & Watch games, the high score chasing aspect didn't really draw me in and I got bored of it quickly. I gave the game a 6 out of 10. Thanks for watching the video. If you want to see more of these in the future, make sure you subscribe to the channel so that you won't miss out on the next one. Also leave a like if you enjoyed it, since it'll help the channel grow and motivate me to continue this series. I hope I'll see you in the next step on my quest to beat every Nintendo game.